The Bundesliga may resume again on 9th of May, pending the final decision to be taken after the DFL meeting next Friday. Thanks to our achievement in the previous seasons, including income from reselling our core players and the participation in the Euro competition, Hoffenheim is still relatively financially viable, although our players already waive part of their wages. I just hope that all the Bundesliga clubs could go over the difficult time, especially the cash-strapped Schalke, Augsburg, Union Berlin and Düsseldorf. The report said that Schalke is in a very dire situation. I just hope that another installment of the television broadcasting revenue will come to the clubs in time on 2nd of May, but the matches are going to definitely be played in closed door, as Angela Merkel already announced that any large-scale events will be banned until 31st of August. So to all our fans, we have to wait for a longer while before we could buy the tickets and visit PreZero Stadium again. Meanwhile, our owner Dietmar Hopp continues to try to work for the best of the community. He recently said a vaccine for coronavirus could be ready by the autumn. Mr. Hopp is the primary investor in German biopharmaceutical company CureVac, which is working on a vaccine for the coronavirus. The clinical test will be conducted in Germany very soon. The company did another great deed to maximize the benefits of the community. US President Donald Trump offered CureVac large sums of money for exclusive US right to the vaccine, but CureVac rejected the offer immediately. Apart from investing the vaccine, Mr. Hopp recently went to a program in ZDF to express his gratitude to the fans and ultra groups who opposed his exemption to the 50+1 rule. And out of now here, ProFans Alliance hosts a press conference to talk about the issue of collective punishment for the anti-Hoff incidents, closed-door matches, and Hoffenheim. This organization is not as unknown and secret as we perceive. ProFans is an alliance of 48 fans and ultra groups in Germany. It generally works for the best of all soccer fans in the nation, holding numerous fan congresses, trying to connect the fan bases around the region in Europe, and setting a result-oriented communication platform between fans, official, and police force. Though the position in coordinating different groups of fans and ultra groups has somewhat been replaced by the Fans in Germany movement recently. They chose to withdraw the DFP working group because of the irritating and menacing attitude from the DFB. Fans in general focus on lively fan culture. It goes far beyond the stadium experience. Football should not only focus on sporting achievements, but also exemplify important social values, because that is what we give our hearts and soul to. Please note that they are very concerned if only the principle money rules the world seems to be decisive. It is quite understandable that they voice against the DFB collective fans punishment, which they have fight for since 2007. Even in the anti-Hoff incident, I agree that collective punishment contradicts the principle of the rule of law, but also do not serve the purpose. The common practice of imposing collective punishments left misconduct by individual viewers unpunished and make the clubs responsible for the actions of the individuals. So, the call for the abolition of collective penalties justifies. It is also understandable that the fans may have divided opinion over the issue of the goals game arrangement, as they also want to experience the excitement of the game as soon as possible. But they also need to realize that they have no say on the TV broadcasting revenues that could save some of the club financial situation during the virus outbreak. But their last comment was very, very questionable. Sixelt, the spokesman of ProFans Alliance, also added a very controversial statement at the end of the conference. He said, "I find it rather strange that it addresses the TSG Hoffenheim because Mr. Hopp patronage has nothing to do with it. It is very nice that a successful entrepreneur recognized his social responsibility and acts accordingly, but it should have nothing to do with his involvement in soccer. And even if it does, it only underlines our criticism, because then economic interests would play an important role." If this statement really comes from the leader of ultra fans groups, it is rather disappointing and appalling. How could a football club be exempted from the social responsibility? Football without the support from fans is nothing. The fans are part of the community. It is very logical that the football club should contribute to the community by all means, from food donation to addressing the underprivileged to working closely with other organizations in the community. Now that Dietmar Hopp investment in the vaccination is for the sake of protecting the humankind, well, it is true that he is not doing the vaccine in the name of Hoffenheim, like calling it as Hoffen vaccine, but Mr. Hopp is already a long-term icon of Hoffenheim. Everything he has done should stand for the club image and vision, because the news report might also said that Mr. Hopp also owns Bundesliga club Hoffenheim. So it is very indispensable, right? It is also a nonsense that there is any economic interest in the vaccination. Please indicate if there will be any monetary transaction and incoming revenues in our financial reports from launching the vaccine. If you say it has nothing to do with the involvement in football, how could you find the vaccination related to the economic interests to a football club? We welcome your alliance to provide any concrete evidence should you find one later. As a soccer fan, I find the alliance comments very biased. They simply could not represent all the groups at all. Maybe this is only their own expression. More work has to be done before everyone knows about the advantage and disadvantage of so-called money football. Of course, money is not count for all. Another important asset is the players. Transfer rumors start to pile up again even before resuming rest of the season. Our club may release the defensive midfielder back to Schalke next season. Sebastian Rudi has been our long-serving member before switching to Bayern Munich in 2017. If you look at what he did this season, some may agree that he could not perform again what he did in the early stage in Hoffenheim. His magical long passes and ability in making and setting up the midfield rhythm seems to submerge. Remember, he is slow and too soft to be our defensive barrier in the midfield. Elvis Roder also sometimes plays him in the right back position to substitute the steady Carter Black this season, creating a major loophole for our defense line. He is too slow to play against the wingers and unable to strengthen our defensive line. Think about his asset for the club then. He could channel all his valuable national experience into our young players. Well, okay, our club may have adjusted their policy in the squad formation, but it is always important to have at least 1 to 2 experienced or star player to lead the team. However, when you look into Hoffenheim's recent transfer activities, you may find it quite discouraging. when our club released the unpolished gems, the striker Armindo Seep and defensive midfielder Amado Onana, I start to question the club's willingness in maintaining the notion of reselling the successful academy players, the buy low, sell high principle. I'm worrying about the future development of our promising youth players like Kovacevic and Gisrael. It is certainly not the sole decision made by our coach. At least Alves Roeder is still open to keeping Fold and Rudy in the team. But I want to ask our director if he like to build a team without any experienced player. Does he want to build up a team like RB Leipzig? But RB Leipzig has far more resources, network, and personnel to scout the high-quality talents. We simply cannot afford it, and our focus should be producing more important academy players like Sule before selling them to the big clubs. Look what we had done before the era of Nagelsmann. And the recent transfer seems to be an alarm to our club's long-term development. We have to rely on both experienced player and young player to rebuild our squad. Otherwise, we will go further away from the European competition in the future. I'm not saying that our new players are not qualified to play the entertaining football, but the club management should be the first to uphold our philosophy and our tradition.